Honey, listen. Marsau dropped a bombshell last night at their reunion. According to Marsau, Martell and Coleslaw are married. Who gonna tell her? Who gonna tell her she's going to lose him the same way she got him? This is just a slap in the face to Melody. Just a slap in the face. Coleslaw, you can't change a man. Honey, he did it to Melody. More than likely, he's going to do it to you. We're going to circle back to that. I'm just going to go ahead and start the recap of the reunion. We pick back up with the battle of the cheating husbands between Latisha and Keke. It's almost like they were having a contest to see who's the dumbest. Keke said that Latisha is dumb because she's with a cheating husband and is in denial. Latisha said Keke is dumb because her husband cheats on her and she cheats on him as well. And as a matter of fact, Keke paid her husband to take another chick out on a date. It sounds like when Latisha was telling the story, it sounded like Keke propositioned the woman. That didn't happen. What happened was Amin asked Keke for money. She gave it to him only to take a chick out on a date. Keke got wind of it. Okay, she showed up at the restaurant. She showed up and showed out. Latisha says that Keke is trying to use her marriage as a means to solidify a storyline and a spot on the show when she can use her own marriage that's in shambles as a storyline instead of relying on hers and Marsau's marriage. And from the response, Carlos kind of agreed. He said that Huntsville is a small town, okay, and he does know a lot of people want to attach themselves to the show. So that was definitely shade for Keke. So the conversation shifts to Kimmy and Melody. Carlos asks Kim and Melody if Latisha is in denial about Marsau's cheating. So after a long pause from both of them, Melody said, Kimmy, you answer. Kimmy said, no, Melody, you answer first. That response alone was very telling. They both know Latisha is in denial, but they also know that Latisha will not believe Marsau is cheating or has, even if it were staring her right in the face. So it makes no sense to keep bringing it up because she's going to deny it. She's not going to believe it. Latisha is one of those people that you have to tell her what she wants to hear. So after beating around the bush for 5 minutes, Kimmy finally said that she does not believe that Latisha is in denial. And Melody kind of said yes. And she said that Latisha's problem is that she wants something concrete. So she said yes without really saying yes. Because Melody is going to tell you the truth. Kimmy going to beat around the bush and tell you exactly what you want to hear. So they go on to discuss whether or not they believe Keke was still on substance abuse. Of course, Marsau and Latisha said she was on at the barbecue and that she's on now. So they still think she's still using because she threw that drink in Latisha's face. I do believe it was very wrong for Keke to throw the drink in her face, but I don't think it was a result of substance abuse. Come on, girl. So Keke explained that when she is being ignored, that's a trigger. And that was a trigger of mine as well. So I do believe her. It activates emotional stress. So it triggers a part of the brain that registers physical pain. So yes, just like the therapist explained in Houston during the therapy group, that's her inner child. It was activated because she was ignored by her cousin. It isn't an excuse, but that's just the reality. So when Keke said that Latisha knows for a fact being ignored is a trigger for her, Latisha tilted her head back in disbelief, and Marsau looked at her with disapproval and said, try to ignore her, referring to Keke. Why is she not allowed to chime in when she's being talked about? But you're always speaking when you're not being spoken to. It's almost like he controls her. And when he said that, she stood up straight like an obedient child responding to her parent. And she had the nerve to say she feels sorry for Courtney. Blink twice if you need help, Latisha. I can only imagine what goes on in their home. He treats his wife like crap on the show, honey. I can't imagine what goes on in their home. Is it me or was Carlos extra protective of Latisha this reunion. Did y'all catch on to that? So Carlos questioned the validity of the substance abuse test, abuse test, because one of the things that should have came up positive didn't. I can't explain it. I don't know. Marsau seems to think she used someone else's urine. I don't know. Which Melody debunked because she and the producers they were there when she was taking the test. So, yeah, it was her own urine. All right, so the conversation shifted. It was revealed what we already knew is that the relationship with Martell and Sheree was fake. It was a business opportunity. Stevie Wonder could see that. So he said they were dating, but not in a relationship. And the reason the relationship ended was because he was focusing on himself. Boy, bye. The relationship ended because it didn't exist. So Tiffany chimed in and said, well, you came at me pretty aggressive for you not to be in a relationship with Sheree. That's because he was trying to pump up the amp. Okay, he was trying to make it seem believable. It needed to look believable. And even if they wasn't dating, it was still inappropriate to ask Sheree about their intimate moments with Martell. That was out of line, child. Out of line. And what was also out of line is Martell and Marsau tag teaming her. That was out of line too. So yes, Martell continues to say that he ended the relationship with Sheree because he was trying to focus on himself. How the hell can you focus on yourself when you spent an entire season throwing tantrums about what Melody was doing? You had no time to focus because you was focused on Melody and her name change and everything else she was doing. So moving on, Martell denies having feelings for Melody, even though he said it out of his own mouth when he was talking to Nell. We all seen it. Okay, he's saying that he didn't understand why Melody changed her name. Okay, and she didn't understand why you couldn't stop seeing your side chick. That's the one thing that could have saved their marriage, and he refused to let it go. During a freaking pandemic, when thousands of people were dying by the day, you're trifling behind, choose to lay up with coleslaw, possibly exposing your wife and your kids to COVID. You were so concerned to getting your peen wet instead of being in the safety of your home. You don't deserve custody of those kids. The fact that you laid up with a chick during a global pandemic is very irresponsible. And I hope Melody mentioned that in her divorce decree. Like, this ninja really put his family's life in danger over some puss. Now you're broke, you're busted, you ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. You deserve all the hell you put Melody through. So Coleslaw posted in her story a couple days ago, Lord, if I ever mishandled what I prayed for, give me another chance to receive it and the ability and strength to manage it correctly this time around. So my first thought is that she was referring to Martell. Sweetheart, God is not going to bless a mess. You can't sow bad seeds and expect a good harvest. But then again, what Lord is she praying to? Martell and Coleslaw, y'all will reap what you sow. Because the way you stalked and tortured that woman emotionally is disgusting. Calling her on her damn phone, talking about you with her husband. Trick. I just can't imagine the emotional pain that this woman was going through. Actually, I can, because, I mean, we've all been there. But damn, to turn around and marry the girl that tried to ruin your wife's life and her emotional health, like, come on. And then he defends this woman every chance he get, but never once defended your wife. So Martell goes on to say that he thinks Melody's name change was out of the blue. Huh? I wouldn't want to be attached to that name either. That name comes with so much, nothing but bad memories. Why should she hold on to that last name? Pass it on to Coleslaw, the same woman that disrespected your wife throughout their marriage. And the only reason he wants Melody to keep that Holt name is because he was reaping benefits from it. Now that she changed her last name, you can't live off her anymore. And that is the only reason he wanted her to keep that Holt name, so he can be attached to her and reap benefits. So Martell lies and said that he only told Nell that he was still in love with Melody for the cameras. But Nell said to him, well, you said it in scene and out of scene. And Melody chimed in and said the same thing. He kept telling her that too. We saw it. So Martell is still denying that he's still in love with Melody. So Carlos asked him if he feels telling the world right now that he's still in love with Melody, that she would take it and run with it. So here's when Marsau dropped the bombshell. He said he's afraid that he'll get in trouble with his wife. Ooh, honey, there it is. They married. That's exactly what it is. He go above and beyond to defend the side chick, but he never once defended Melody. So Martell is lying, saying he and Coleslaw, are not in a relationship. But yet Melody said when the kids are around, she's always there. So Carlos asked Melody if she's upset that she's around the kids. Melody said she's not upset. However, she does go into protective mommy mode because this is a lady, Coleslaw, who loved her life so much, wanted to be in Melody's shoes, that she did whatever she could to obtain it. She stalked a woman, talked bad about it on the internet, and now Martell thinks it's okay to have the kids around her. I wouldn't trust her around my kids either. So then Martell chimes in and says that Melody pretty much has no room to talk because she has 11 babysitters. Well, it was 20 at first, Martell. Which one is it? Is it 11 or 20? Remember your lie. That's one thing about lying. You got to remember the lie you told. So he ends up getting mad and stormed off stage with his red spandex pants on. I forgot why he stormed off. I think he was going to grab some receipts that wasn't really receipts. He was sashaying in them red pants, wasn't he? So Miss Betty enters the chat. So Miss Betty is Stormy's mother. She doesn't like Melody's energy, and she feels that Melody wasn't a good friend to Stormy. She thinks Melody should have defended her, Stormy, from comments from Melody fan groups. So Melody tweeted that someone was in her home and that person recorded her. Stormy says from the looks of the tweet, it seems as if she insinuated that it was Stormy. And because of that, she was being drugged for filth under those comments. She said to add insult to injury, Melody never cleared it up. And she did speak up a little bit, according to Stormy, but it wasn't until her mother intervened. Miss Betty thinks that Melody should have issued a public statement to let these groups know that it was not Stormy she was referring to, but Melody did. So Stormy tells her that the comments that were under her tweets, they were dragging her for filth, okay? And they were trying to get her products off the shelves. Girl, listen, they've been dragging you on TikTok for your products because the people were not receiving the products. And when they did receive the products, they didn't get what was advertised. So you trying to blame this on Melody? Stormy, you should stop. So Melody says she did not see the comments under the tweets that were coming for Stormy. Stormy called her a straight up lie. So she said Melody was lying because Melody sees everything. So Miss Betty intervened, speaking when she wasn't spoken to, and said that she finds it hard to believe that Melody didn't bother to check the comments under her tweets. So Melody says that she should probably mind her own business because she has issues in her own household. This is a conversation between herself and Stormy. So she should try to see her way out. So Betty then tells Melody to mind her business. But you in her business, but she can't mind your business? So she goes on and gets extra hyped and belligerent and said that Melody is still arguing with a man she's been divorced from for 3 years. Why was that relevant? I don't know. Sounds like this is something she's been wanting to say to Melody. Sounds like Stormy put a bug in her mama's ear. And that's the end of this episode, honey. Miss Stormy mama, Miss Betty came for Melody, honey, and she came hard. And that anger was fueled by something else, but I know it ain't because of some tweets.